All right. Well, once again, welcome there, Fulton Mortgage. My name is Brian Maring. I'm your customer success manager here at Mortgage Coach. Oh, let me turn on my light a little real quick. Looks like it's a little dark in there. There we go. That's a little better. You can get the glare off my big forehead there. Just want to confirm that everything's working correctly and that you can see the screen and that you can hear me clearly before we get started. If you can give me the high five, I would appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. All right, this is one of my favorite workshops, and the reason that it's one of my favorites is it gives you an opportunity to connect with clients that you've served in the past. I guess you could say kind of rekindle that relationship that you had with them. You know, you worked real hard to serve them and getting them into the home the home of their dreams. And it gives you an opportunity to stay connected with them. And our topic today is refinances, but also annual mortgage reviews. Annual mortgage reviews are, such an important role in helping you generate business. When times are slow and you're struggling to build your pipeline, one of the best ways to do that is by consistently providing your clients with annual mortgage reviews. Gives you the opportunity to revisit any potential mortgage needs that they may have, of course, but also gives you the opportunity to utilize that relationship that you have with them to ask for referrals. It also gives you the opportunity to generate referrals for any partners that you may have as well. And what I mean by that, partners such as potentially your realtor partners, lawyers, CPAs, financial advisors. We call that your wealth team. Members of your wealth team, you're able to utilize your database of past clients that you served to potentially refer them to members of your wealth team, which of course will help you generate business referrals from your wealth team. Because if you're feeding them, the expectation is that they're going to feed you as well. So annual mortgage reviews, and I hope you had an opportunity to watch at least maybe a couple of the videos that I provided you in regards to the playlist that I send everybody a link to. And if you'd like, I'll go ahead and I'll drop that in the chat area in case you missed it. I'm going to go ahead and copy it and I'll put it in the chat area. So there you go. And I made one recommendation. If you take a look at the playlist, there's some really short videos in there. And the one that I recommended that you watch, maybe to kind of kick things off, there's so much good scripting in that call, was the number 10 call from Tim Brahim. I'm curious, did anybody get a chance to watch that? You can raise your hand. I'm curious if anybody took the time to view that recording yet, or that video. Okay, didn't see a hand go up, but that would be the one that I would recommend that you watch. Very, very short. You're going to get good scripting. It helps you get you in the mindset of how annual mortgage reviews can help you generate business. And I mean, if you're struggling and you're trying to build your pipeline, wouldn't it be nice to get a loan or two every month from a client that you've served in the past? If it's not directly from them, from maybe a referral that they have. Okay, so with that, what our game plan is for today is I want to show you how to do a simple refinance. I realize that refinances can be somewhat cyclical, but I mean, we're fortunate now, equities returning, people have more equity. Rates, I mean, they were down there a little bit. There's still some opportunities there. So when the opportunity presents itself, I want to make sure that you folks know how to serve your clients in building a refinance scenario utilizing mortgage codes. So that's going to be the first thing that we're going to accomplish. And then we're going to take a deeper dive into the annual mortgage reviews. I'm going to show you how to get it all set up and how to reach out to a client when maybe there's just no benefit. You don't have the potential to get them a lower rate. I'm going to show you some strategies of how to help you use the annual mortgage review as a catalyst to be able to communicate with that past client. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's go ahead and log into your Mortgage Coach account, and we're going to build a refinance scenario, a simple one, just to kind of kick things off and get you into the flow of it. So the expectation is that we're going to do the data entry, we're going to build the presentation, and then you're going to deliver it to me here at Mortgage Coach, and we'll take a quick look at it. It's not going to be a very, it's going to be a real simple rate term. We'll spice it up a little bit because I do want to show you some really cool features within Mortgage Coach that can help you have, a bigger conversation, so that when you're asking your client and you're interviewing them and they're coming to you for a refinance and they're telling you that they need to save money, of course you want to know, well, what are you going to do with the money that you save? That's how you can utilize Mortgage Coach to paint a bigger picture for them as to how they can utilize that extra cash flow that they're getting to accomplish whatever goal that they may have. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Go ahead and log into your Mortgage Coach account. And then of course, when you do so, once you get into the Mortgage Coach advice engine, please go ahead and raise your hand so that I know that we're ready to proceed. Give you a few moments. Okay. Need to see some more hands go up. They're going up. That's good. Want to keep that going up because, again, every time that you come to one of these workshops, when you get into Mortgage Coach and you actually build, you're going to be learning. If you sit on the sidelines and you don't log in, you don't participate, it's going to be challenging for you to adopt this new habit. It's going to be a new habit, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes a habit. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lower those hands and keep logging in, folks. Keep them coming. Okay, so to build a refinance scenario, just like what we do when we build a purchase, is that we're always going to start off with new client. We're going to go ahead and click on new client. And remember, we only have to put data in the red highlighted fields. Although you could put data in each and every one of those other fields, you may or may not want to, but you don't have to. So I'm going to go ahead and put in, and this borrower is going to be, I'll say Bob Refinance, my borrower's name. Okay, so you started the new client, we typed in the borrower's name, and now we're going to go ahead and move to the next page. When we get to the goal section here, we've always been utilizing the purchase as our goal, right? Now you can see that you could do a debt consolidation presentation. Of course, you can lower their interest rate. And if you utilize this particular field, put a check mark in here, and whatever dollar amounts that you put in that particular field, it will automatically increase your base loan amount for you. That's one of the things about Mortgage Coach, is that it'll determine the base loan amount for you so that you don't have to do any extra calculations to get the loan amount correct for your borrower. For this particular scenario, I'm just going to go ahead and choose other. So we want to make sure the check mark's in other, and then we'll go ahead and we'll move forward. Now, typically when we get to this particular tab, for the value of the home, we've been putting in, the contract price, or perhaps the appraised value. Now what we may have to do is put in the anticipated value. So whatever resource that you're utilizing to come up with a potential home value, that's what you're going to put in there. If you have an appraisal, great, go ahead and put that figure in there. I'm going to go ahead and put in a figure of, say the home's going to appraise for $400,000 in the current market. So $400,000 is the expected value in the current market. Now, I can put in the original appraised value if I want. That could potentially be helpful if the borrower is paying mortgage insurance and you want to see how many more months that they have remaining of mortgage insurance. You don't have to put data in there, though. Another field that you may want to utilize is right here, the current total payoff amount. So when you're interviewing your client, they're going to give you an idea of what they owe on the property, what their remaining balance is. And you, of course, can enter that figure there, and you might even want to pad it by a payment or two. so that you get an accurate payoff figure. Or, now I just want to make sure it's an or, if you have a credit report or a mortgage statement and you want to provide the borrower with a side-by-side comparison, apples to apples comparison of their current loan versus the loan options that you've selected for the refinance opportunity, then you're going to want to go ahead and utilize this particular page, because that'll give you that apples to apples comparison. So keep that in mind. If you have a mortgage statement or credit report and you can complete this data, then by all means, this is a preferred choice. If you don't, you want to make sure that you put a figure in here though, because you want to make sure that your cash to close is correct on your statement, on your mortgage presentation. Okay, so I'm going to assume best case. I'm going to assume that this particular borrower, I have a mortgage statement. I know exactly all the details of their existing mortgage. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that the borrower acquired this loan, began making payments in, I'll say June of 2014. And I'll say that the value of their home now was the $400,000. I'm going to say the original loan amount was, I'll say $280,000. And I'll say that their interest rate was 5.25% and a 30-year term. So 360 months. Just like when you're building a loan option for the borrower, you're always putting the term in months. Now, one thing that you'll notice, once I tab out of this particular field, what it's going to do for me is it's going to calculate what the remaining balance on their loan should be at this point in time. What it's also going to do is determine what the borrower's principal and interest payment is and populate it in this field. So I'm going to go ahead and tab out of it right now. And you can see, provided that the borrower has made all their payments, their loan balance should be about a little under $256,000 at this point. And if you look down below in that box, I now know what their PI payment is. And of course, you can confirm that when you're speaking with your borrower so that you're doing a true apples to apples comparison. Now, if the borrower has made additional payments towards principal, that can happen. You can actually manually adjust the remaining balance to whatever the figure is that they're seeing on their statement to accommodate their request. So keep in mind this could be adjusted downward if they've made additional payments towards principal reduction. Some of you might be curious what this box is right here, the auto update balance. That can be very helpful for you if maybe you can't do anything for this borrower at this point in time, but maybe they have to take care of a credit issue or something, and you want to revisit it 3 or 4 months from now. By placing a check mark in here, when you go to open up this record, at that point in the future, it will automatically update the balance for you. So you're not going to have to do any additional calculations. It'll take care of it for you. Okay, so before I go on now, I want to make sure that everybody was able to do the data entry there, because this is going to be our base loan amount. So if you could please raise your hand and confirm that you did all the same data entry so that the numbers will look the same, I would appreciate it. So I want to give everybody a chance to get all the same figures there. Thank you. Somebody put, oh, Matt helped me out with that. I said June, didn't I? And I had January. There you go. There's June 1st, 2014. I'll tab out. There we go. Thanks, Matt. I love it when people catch my mistakes. It means you're paying attention. Okay. All right. Excellent. Good. Let me go ahead and lower my hands. Okay. So let's go ahead and go to the next page. And we're going to go ahead and put in the borrower's hazard insurance, property taxes. And again, one of the big benefits that's in looking at refinance options, especially if somebody had mortgage insurance in the past, would be able to give them that apples to apples comparison. In this example, I'm not going to use mortgage insurance, but it could be potentially very helpful for you. and showing them, illustrating if you're going to be able to get them out of mortgage insurance. So I'm going to put in those figures: $85 for hazard insurance on a monthly basis, $425 for property taxes at this point. I'll also point out, if you take a look down here at the bottom, it has a question here: does Bob have a second lien? And oftentimes, what you may have to do is maybe consolidate two mortgages. So then if you do have that scenario, you would go ahead and click yes, and then you can enter the details about the second mortgage. Or if you have to resubordinate a second mortgage, you would be able to utilize that particular field. Again, all of that information, taking a deeper dive into the refinance scenario, you can click on the help button up here, and it'll walk you through those, say, a little bit less common scenarios that you might encounter when you have to do a refinance transaction. We're going to keep this one simple again. So let's go ahead and move forward now. And we're going to go right to the product area. And what we're going to do for this scenario is, I'm going to say that the borrower's focus for doing a refinance on this transaction is to increase their cash flow. And I'm going to show you how they could utilize that cash flow increase when we get to the analysis area here. So I'm just going to simply label this product option as cash flow, because their goal is I need some cash flow for a particular goal. You can see the borrower's existing payment up here in the top right-hand corner in this graph, $2,056.17. So now, starting from the top and working my way down, you can see the very first question right here: is this a refi? Now we get to move the dial button to yes. And once I do that, you can see it populates the particular fields. We've got property, we've got equity, and then we have the base loan amount. Remember, that base loan amount was determined by what you put in this particular field here. That's where the 258.19 comes from. Okay. So let's say that we can put together a rate at, say, 4.5% in today's market. And we're going to do another 30-year mortgage form, 360. We'll go ahead and move forward. And then we're going to choose the appropriate closing costs. And I'm just going to go right to the top of the list. I think it's Delaware or DC. I think that's at, let's go Delaware or DC. I think that's at the top of the list for you folks. And then I'm going to choose a conventional, there we go, DC conventional fixed. I'll choose that one. Now, just because I chose that particular fee template, one of the things that I want to point out is each time that you go in there, you have to, pay attention to the fees that are appearing. Let me see where those fees are. Okay, there's FHA, conventional fixed. Okay, I'll have to see where that fee template is. Let's choose, let's go to Delaware then. And we'll use conventional fixed there. So back to Delaware. Jerry, the interest rate that I chose was 4.5%, I believe. Let me go ahead. Let me just click apply to loan real quick. And yeah, 4.5% is what I put in there. Sorry if I went through that a little quick, folks. 4.5%. Let's go ahead. And let me just, you can see the APR costs are quite high for that one. So let me just go back into the fee detail. I'm going to make some minor adjustments because that would probably blow up my LTV well above 80%. So I'm just going to put $1,000 in there for the title insurance. And again, you know your fees much better than I do. My purpose in doing this is just to work on some of the figures here. And I don't know if all these apply here. I don't imagine that all of them would apply. I'll go ahead and I'll just keep it like that. Hopefully that won't blow up my LTV over 80%. Okay. Now, going back to the closing costs, I almost went too fast on this. Let me go back to the closing cost detail button here. And the reason that I was making the adjustments is I had a concern about it going greater than 80% is if you take a look, there's a column over here. It says add to loan. So if your borrower typically borrowers are going to be of one of two schools. And the most common scenario is that probably the borrower doesn't want to come out of pocket for anything. They want everything included in the loan amount. They don't want to, have to pay a penny out of pocket. So if that's the case, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you put a check mark here so that all those fees will be added to the loan amount. So if they don't have to come out of pocket for that. But the other borrower, they may say, well, I don't want my balance to go up a single penny. So if that's the case, then of course, they're going to have to bring some cash into closing, or you could potentially work out something as far as, rebate to offset costs. But I just want to show you this helpful button here for probably the most common scenario is that they don't want to come out of pocket for anything. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and arrow forward now. And now I want to go ahead and put in the borrower's monthly cost because it's an apples to apples comparison. I'm going to say that this borrower likes the convenience of having everything in their monthly mortgage payment. So I'm going to put in those same figures. It was $85 and $425 for the property taxes. I'm just going to confirm that. $85 and $425. Okay. So now, if they want to set up an escrow account, we're not going to collect the full year like we would with a purchase, but however many months of hazard insurance and taxes that we would need to accommodate that request. So that's 2 and 2 I'll just put in there to make it real simple. Now, because I've added those escrow amounts, those reserves in, I also may want to add them to the loan amount. If that's the case, just make sure that there is a box. The 2 boxes down here at the bottom also have check marks in there. So again, just click there, click apply to loan. Because if the borrower doesn't want to come out of pocket, although they're going to get a refund most likely, if they don't want to come out of pocket for that, you can put those in there as well. Okay. And you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm just going to adjust the some of those fees because it's really, really high as far as my loan amount. So I'm going to take out a couple of these. There we go, and apply to loan. That way my loan amount is going to be a little bit lower. Again, I don't know if those fees apply, but the reason that I was doing that is that the monthly payment difference. Because we kept adding those really high fees, that loan amount was so big that my payment difference was very, very small. Of course, you'd make the appropriate adjustments with the fees. You know them far better than I do if you're originating in those particular states. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and move forward. And let's do a preview of the presentation at this time. So I'm going to go ahead and click preview. And let's see what it looks like. Put a quote date in, and we'll do a preview of it. So what does my refinance look like at this point in time right now? Okay, so you can see, here's the interest rate. There's the interest rate reduction. Here's the payment decrease. Looks like we're going to be saving the borrower amount almost $163 a month. So it looks like we're set. My cash to close is 0. You can see that there. So because I put everything in the loan amount, the borrower's not coming out of pocket for anything. So that's what you want to see. And what I'd recommend as far as best practices go, before you send out a presentation to your client, you can see I have the Mortgage Coach Advice Engine on one tab right here. And then I have the preview of the presentation right next to it. So I can just go back and forth if I need to make any adjustments, if something wasn't quite right. Before you send it to your client, you always want to make sure it's 100% accurate. Okay, now what I want to do is, let's see here. Matt had a question. Can you delete a loan program from an analysis? Okay, so you could always say remove, so that the borrower won't see it, by taking a check mark out here. So if you don't want the borrower maybe to see the current loan for some reason, you could remove the check mark. You don't have the ability to say delete. What you'd have to do is you have to clear it out, but you can always remove it so that the borrower is not seeing that. And you have, remember, 3 more product options that you could utilize at this point in time. Okay? All right, so there's the borrower's current loan. And I'm just going to go ahead and put it back on the presentation. So that'll pop up here in a second. But if you look at the analysis area here, a couple of things I'd like to point out for you. You're going to see how much interest the borrower is going to pay over 15 years. You're going to see because of the costs, savings-wise, it's going to cost some money to, in that first 60 months to be able to have the cash flow that they may be looking for. So what I want to do is I want to take a little bit deeper dive here, and let's go to the analysis tab now. Oh, and you know what? Before I do that, why don't I have you guys go ahead and send over the presentation that you built. So we built that simple one. You can go ahead and send it over. I just want to take a quick look and see how you guys did. So go ahead and send it over to me. Generate the link, and then just take the link and drop it in the chat area. I'd like to take a quick look at some sample presentations that you guys did. I'm just going to paste mine in there and see how well you guys did with that. So if you could, those of you that were building, and I hope to get quite a few links, or quite a few hands up. Ryan was the very first. Jerry, thank you. Stacy, Accent. I'd like to take a quick peek and see how well you guys did. So I'll go ahead and take a look at, let's pull up Ryan's. I'm going to pull Jerry's. There's Stacy and Zach. And keep them coming in, folks. So we'll take a quick look at them and see how well you guys did. All right. So this is Zach. Good job. 5 1/4, 4 1/2, cash out. Good job, Zach. I'm curious, so how come you haven't got your headshot into your account yet, though? You're gonna want to get that headshot in there. Get your personal branding appearing on your presentation. And again, reach out to our support team. They'll be happy to do that for you. Let's take a look at Stacy's. Okay, cash out. Good. There you go. Rockstar. And you named it Brian. Okay. And Stacy, you want to get your headshot in there too. Let's take a look at Jerry. Jerry, oh my gosh, I'm seeing so many without headshots in there. I'm surprised. Okay, now Jerry, if you take a look, you have some cash to close. So the borrower's going to have to bring in that money. So what you may want to do is just circle back around and make sure when you're in the product tab here. And this is something that everybody on the call, you'll probably make have this pop up at some point, and you want to know how to fix it. Just go to your closing cost detail here, and make sure that you do in fact put a check mark in here and apply the loan, so that way all the fees will be added to the loan amount for you. Okay, and if in fact, Jerry, if you want to make that adjustment, you could do that, and I can come back and I'll be able to see. Because remember, anytime that you make a change with your presentation, it happens live time. So if you need to make an adjustment, in fact, go ahead and try that. Just put that check mark in there and just make sure that you arrow forward after you do it, and we'll see if you can add those fees to the loan amount. Here's Ryan. Okay, first one with a headshot in there. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it. And let's see here. Pat made a comment that there's some help available for you there internally if you don't want to reach out to our support team in getting your headshot added to the account. But our support team will be happy to. Just send them the picture and they'll upload it to your account. Ryan, good job. I see that the cash out is 0. Perfect. All right. Okay, we're good to go. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click off of those links. And look at this. You see Jerry made the adjustment? Look at his cash to close. Rockstar, Jerry. Good job. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and close that one. And you guys should be getting alerts. After I click off of these, remember, each time that your borrower views a presentation, you're going to get an alert notification. And Andy sent one. I want to take a look at Andy's real quick too. And thanks for sending these over, guys. This is one step closer to you, establishing this mortgage coach habit. Andy, good job. He's got his headshot in there. Take a look at Andy. Andy's being even real fancy. He's highlighting areas within the presentation. And your cash out is good. You're ready to go. Awesome. You might notice that the payment is different, payment difference, and I think that's primarily due to the loan amount. Some of those fees were added because I can see it's $258 versus $288. So that's why the payment differential is a little bit different on yours. You, of course, like I said, you know your fees much better than I do. And of course, you would make the appropriate adjustments before sending it to your client. So good job, Andy. All right, so let's take it a step further now. And I wanted to share with you in the analysis area here, a couple things that you could do. So when you get into the analysis area tab here, there's a button right here. It says adjust reinvestment strategy. If you click on that, that's going to give you the opportunity to really paint the picture for your client and help them visualize how this potential refinance can help them achieve their particular goal. So let's say that they shared with you that they wanted to utilize that cash flow to put into some type of an investment account. And this, by the way, is a good opportunity to bring in those members of your wealth team, like specifically like a financial advisor, bring them into the conversation, because say they want to utilize that savings to plan for a college education. They just had a child, and 18 years from now, they know that they're going to have that expense coming. So upon getting advice from a member of your wealth team, a financial advisor, they're going to take that savings, $162.96, and I'm going to put that right in this box down here, $162.96. And that financial advisor says that they're going to be able to get a rate of return of, say, 4%. So this particular borrower, based upon the scenario, could expect to have in that investment account that your financial referral partner is recommending, they could expect to have about $40,000 after a period of 15 years. Now, remember I said 18 years. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to come back and I'm going to change this time horizon to reflect 18 years. And then let's take a look at the adjust reinvestment strategy button again. What is that going to do? Well, 3 more years of investing, it's going to be over $50,000. So depending upon what your borrower's goals are and how good you're asking the questions, you could utilize your mortgage coach presentation to help them see how they can achieve whatever goal that they have for wanting to entertain a refinance scenario. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and let's see what that does on the presentation. So I'll arrow forward, and if you take a look, okay, you can see the adjustment in 18 years, but how am I going to show the borrower what their net worth is going to look like at that point in time? How am I going to be able to show them how much that money is going to be in that account? Because right now it's showing interest in 18 years, right? Anybody have an idea how I'm going to do that? What would I need to do to be able to paint that picture for my borrower? Give you guys a second to think about that. Any ideas? Okay, that's where in your analysis area, we're going to move the dial button from interest and MI paid to net worth. When I do that, we're going to be able to illustrate to the borrower on the presentation now. This will change, this will update. Again, it's going to remain at 18 years, but what's going to happen is it will update, and you'll actually see 2 colors. The yellow portion represents that asset that's accumulating at a rate of 4% at that particular point in time. And if they click on the more info area here, they can get more details about that. They'll be able to see where their loan balance will be in 18 years, what their investment balance will be in 18 years, what their total net worth would look like. So this is what I mean by being able to utilize Mortgage Coach to paint that picture with your borrower. Of course, you've got to ask those questions, right? You've got to ask those questions as to, well, what are you going to be using that money for? How can I help you achieve your goals with this refinance? What type of goals do you have? So that's one example. In the analysis area, oftentimes maybe you have a client that is maybe hesitant, although they want a lower interest rate, they may be hesitant to go backwards in the amount of time that they've paid. They've already invested in their loan. And you can see the freedom point here on their current loan is 25 years. Whereas if they go to the new 30-year course, they'll have 30. Well, you could take and show them that, take that savings, and let me just generate that savings here. I just deleted that other info. Take that savings, which was $162.59. Let's put that in the reduction payment area. Now you can see that it puts the borrower about at the same amount of time, a little bit ahead, as to where they are at with their current loan. So if there's a substantial savings, even greater, maybe they have the ability to pocket some money as well as get themselves at the same pace as where they're at. So my purpose in showing you these additional fields is to help you understand, whatever your borrower's goals are, you can utilize these additional areas to help paint that picture for them. Any questions about that before we move on? Let's look at the presentation looks like now. I did want to point out, let's see here, let me go ahead and get a refresh here. See where it says reduction payment as well? I wanted to point out where that's going to appear on the presentation. So there you go. So I was off a little bit. It's actually 37 cents. I was off on that monthly payment factor. But again, if you have a borrower that has mortgage insurance, it'll show how many more years that they have remaining on the mortgage insurance and how to eliminate that. There's a lot of different ways that you can utilize this analysis area. So I'd encourage you to get in there and start, clicking on it, putting together scenarios and seeing how you could utilize it to paint that picture. Okay, I don't have any questions about what we covered so far, so we're looking good, all right? Next topic, annual mortgage reviews. And as I mentioned, by establishing this habit, and like I said, don't listen just to me. Go back to the playlist. Listen to, this is Wally Libiari. He had a database of over 1,000 clients and wasn't producing any referral or any business from that 1,000 client database. And this is actually at Sales Mastery. He set a goal with Dave and established that habit of providing his clients with annual mortgage reviews. And in the playlist, it kind of charts his progress with that. The 12th call, he explains, what did he do? How did he help himself generate more business from that database that he had of past clients that he just wasn't, maybe like you're just not, maintaining that relationship with them. So oftentimes, when you reach out to a client, there may not be benefits, but you still want to maintain that relationship with them because you can always ask for referrals from them. Their mailbox is being stuffed full of stuff. They know people. If you did a great job of helping them with a mortgage, they're going to be inclined to try and help you. Okay, so from this point forward, what do you want to do when you fund a loan? In fact, what I would suggest that you do is, all the loans that you funded in April, make sure that you get them in your Mortgage Coach account. And if you wanted to start generating business right now and start doing the annual mortgage reviews, I would go back a year, 2 years, and start getting those into your Mortgage Coach account so that you can start providing these clients with annual mortgage reviews. So at this time, I don't want you to build with me. I just want you to watch and see the setup. And if you have any questions as we go along, by all means, please go ahead and fire away with the questions. So at this time, you can sit back and you can watch and understand the data entry and the workflow and best practices. You don't have to build. Okay, so I'm going to say that I funded a loan last month, and I want to make sure that I get it into my mortgage coach account because I didn't put it in when I started working with the client. So just like before, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up, and I'm going to go ahead and, for lack of a better name, I'll pull one out here. Sally Smith. So I just did a loan for Sally Smith in April. So of course I want to make sure that her name is in there. If there's any goals that Sally had, any future goals that I wanted to make note of, I probably want to put them in here. I also want to put anything that I can remember about their family in there because I'm going to record a video message when I send this out to Sally. And if I can mention maybe her kids' names or her hobbies or whatever it is, it becomes kind of personalized, specialized to Sally. And it helps with that relationship because she's not just a transaction. We have a relationship, and I want to establish her expectation that I'm going to be reaching out to her at least once a year, if not more frequently, if the opportunity presents itself to save her money. Just like when Sally goes to the doctor, Sally goes to have an annual checkup. Well, Sally's going to have an annual mortgage checkup on their loan anniversary. So make sure that you make some notes in here because you're going to fund a lot more loans in that year, and you might forget some of the details about Sally. So, what the goals are, family, anything that you could remember. Now, referred by. This field, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in some details. So let's say I funded the loan for Sally at, let's say I did an FHA loan for her. So, and I'm going to put the interest rate right up front. I'm going to say that I funded Sally's loan 5% FHA, 3.5% down payment. And I'm going to say Sally's goal was to get out of mortgage insurance as quickly as possible. Remove MI. So what I'm doing is I'm creating this, entering these data points of the loan that I just closed for Sally. So remove MI, that's her goal. And in the friendly name area here, I'm going to type in AMR for annual mortgage review. And this is going to be the setup, because I'm entering all the details to set it up for future annual mortgage reviews. All right, I'm going to go ahead and arrow forward now, and I'll show you what that looks like from in the Mortgage Coach database here. So let me go ahead and go back to the home screen now. And you'll notice, see Sally Smith, and see in the referred area here, it has 5% FHA. So if I'm targeting when things are slow or it's time to do an annual mortgage review, I could quickly look in my Mortgage Coach database, determine who might have an interest rate that I could potentially save some money for, potentially get out of mortgage insurance. What can I potentially do? There's a quick reference right there. I'm going to go ahead and open up the presentation here. And the friendly name area, let's go to Sally here. So here it is. It says annual mortgage review setup. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and I'm going to complete the data entry that we want to make sure that we do. So we have AMR setup. I don't know what my goal is going to be when I get that alert notification at some point in the future. So what you're going to do is you're going to get, a pop-up, a calendar from your Outlook calendar or whatever it is to remind you it's time to do the annual mortgage review for Sally. And when that time comes, then you'll go ahead and you'll enter what the potential value of the home is in the current market. But you definitely want to put in the original appraised value, especially if she has MI, what the value is for the transaction that you just completed. So I just funded her loan in April. I'm going to say that the value of her home was $300,000 at that time. We need to put one more zero in there. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in the details. So she's funded in April. She'll make her first payment in June. And I could do a quick, let's see here, 300,000, 96.5%. So our original loan amount is going to be 289.5. And as I said, whoops, wrong field. 289.5 is going to be her original loan amount. And as I said, her interest rate was 5%, and she has a 30-year mortgage. Okay, now remember, this is where you want to put in that check mark in that box there, because you're going to want to know what that balance is a year from now. You're going to want to be able to take a look and see, okay, does she have enough equity to get out of that mortgage insurance? And you can see also the PI payments down here now, just like before in that refinance scenario. And I'll complete these additional details real quick. Again, you're not building with me. I'm just putting these in for illustration purposes. Okay. And Sally's going to have to pay the mortgage insurance for the full term of the loan, $360. Get rid of that cutoff. There we go. Okay, it's done. That's all I needed to do to get this ready for me to go ahead and produce an annual mortgage review a year from now when the time comes. So when you get that alert notification, that pop-up from your Outlook calendar or whatever notification you might get from, say, your CRM, all you have to do is go back and locate the borrower. Simply type in Sally, right? First name. You might have helped several Sallys, but we'll see. We'll do a search. There were several Sallys there. Here's Sally Smith, okay? So I'll open up the folder, and there it is. That's what I set up to help me do the annual mortgage review for them. Now, it's all set up ready for me to go. Do I want to start inputting data in that particular presentation? Or do I want to leave it untouched and do the copy analysis? And this is exactly what you want to do. Leave that untouched, copy the analysis, copy it to the borrower's current folder, copy it to Sally's folder, click OK. And then now what you could do is come in here, rather than setup, this is going to be your first annual mortgage review. You can put year 1 if you want, and now you're ready to go. So I'll take a look. I'll come over here and I'll say, does Sally have any equity? Well, Sally got a little bit of equity. Say she got 5% appreciation. So the value of her home in the current market is $315,000. So not quite enough to help her get out of that MI. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I'm saying a year in the future. I'm going to put that at 2018. I can take a look at where her loan balance is because that automatically updates. I know her monthly costs here. I'm going to go right to the product area. So what can I do if I can't help Sally? I can't get her out of the mortgage insurance. I can't put together a better interest rate. What am I going to do? How am I going to send a presentation to Sally? What can I provide her with? Well, if you take a look at her monthly payments, it's $2,269.16. Well, her goal is to get out of mortgage insurance as quickly as possible. So potentially, if Sally's capable of it, maybe she could add an extra $100 towards principal reduction, which will help her build her equity along with the property appreciation more quickly. And we could potentially get her out of that mortgage insurance, not this year, but maybe next year. So I'm going to tell Sally to add $100 a month to her mortgage payment. And my goal in doing that is because I can't help her, I could still provide her with valuable information to allow me to have a catalyst to communicate with her and, again, reach out to her, but also potentially introduce members of my wealth team to her or ask her for referrals. So adding $100 a month, we're not going to do a refi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy Sally's existing loan. So here's her existing loan. We're not going to do a refinance, so we don't have to be concerned about closing costs. Her monthly costs have already been added there. So how am I going to add that extra $100 towards her mortgage payment? Folks, remember how to do that? Who knows how to do that? How would I show her to add an extra $100 towards her mortgage payment? Pop quiz for you. Who is paying attention there? Good job, Ryan. So Ryan stood up. Awesome. We're going to go to the analysis area. We're going to click Adjust Reinvestment Strategy. And all we're going to do is we're going to put $100 in this box right here, because here's her current loan, and here's the strategy of add $100. So put $100 in there. I'm going to tab out of that. And you'll see, although she's still going to have to pay the mortgage insurance for 349 months regardless, because of the type of loan that she has, it will decrease the amount of time that she has to pay on that loan. And of course, it's also going to help her increase her equity along with property appreciation, and potentially a year from now, maybe she can get rid of that mortgage insurance. So we'll click OK. Is Sally going to act on this? She may or may not, but you're still reaching out to her. You're maintaining that relationship, and you're trying to save her money. You're helping manage that debt that she has. I'm going to go ahead and change this to total net worth, and I'm also going to change the time horizon, because I know that she's going to have to pay the loan for 29 years. So I'm going to change that time horizon to 29 just to show her on the presentation what it looks like to add that extra $100 towards the mortgage payment. So let's take a look at the presentation now. Okay, so here's that reduction payment, and you can see $100 towards payment reduction. You can see her payment here is $23.69. You can also see the extra $100 a month that's added over here. And let's see here, make sure that it's in there. Okay. So any questions about what we've covered so far about this? And again, it's just a strategy to reach out to the client. There's other strategies that other mortgage professionals utilize in that annual mortgage review playlist that you could utilize as well to, again, just re-engage that client. Let them know that you're there for them. They're not just a transaction to you. You're going to help them manage that debt. And by the way, do you have anybody that needs help with the mortgage? Do you have a coworker, a family member, a friend that I could serve as well? So when times are slow and you need help building your pipeline, the annual mortgage reviews could be your, I guess you could say your safety net, so that you can get a consistent amount of production every year. Just think, if you increase your loans, your production by 10%, if you can increase your production, if you funded 50 loans last year, if you fund 55 next year, just because you incorporated a simple habit like this of maintaining a relationship with your past clients, what's that extra 10% going to do for you as far as achieving a goal that you have with Fulton? What's it going to do for helping you achieve, some financial goal that you might have? Just another way that you could help yourself generate business. All right, guys, any last minute questions before we wrap it up? This call has been recorded. It's going to be added to your playlist. And we have another workshop coming up next week. That will be our final workshop, but we're not going to stop there. We're going to be touching base periodically with you and giving you updates and also workshops. And of course, you can always reach out if you have a question. Excellent. Looks like we're ready to go. Have a great week, folks. Take care. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.